So this is the Audemars Piguet Perpetual calendar, and it's one of the most incredible and most beautiful watches currently available. But if you want to buy one, you have to spend almost 300,000 US dollars on it. So in this video, I'll be showing you 5 of the most important features that you have to know about this watch, and after watching this, you will also understand why, some people are willing to spend the amount of I want to say smaller apartment on a watch like this. So let's get started. And very quickly before we continue, I want to say a big thank you to Max from Rothfuss. He let me borrow this watch for filming this video, for this review, and he's been our main go-to for all things pre-owned and new here in Stuttgart in Germany. So yeah, thank you Max, and make sure to check out his selection online, especially for German. As always, the link for that is in the description box down below. Right now, let's start with feature number 1. Feature number 1 are the hard facts of this watch. The AP Royal Oak Perpetual calendar has a diameter of 41mm, but as all Royal Oaks, it wears bigger thanks to its lug design. And with a lug-to-lug of almost 53mm, you could compare its overall size to watches with, I would say, like a diameter of 44, even a 45mm. So definitely make sure to try it on first. Surprisingly though, it only measures 9.5mm in height, which compared to other, bigger watches, makes this one look way less bulky and much more elegant and even sleek, But since this watch is made from 18 karat rose gold, this watch feels more like it was made from platinum due to its weight of 245 grams. So you get this very heavy feeling so many love about wearing watches like this. Don't worry about it. Oh, and another important thing to point out, because it can be easily overlooked thanks to the screw down crown here. This Perpetual calendar is only water resistant up to 20 meters, so which means that washing your hands is cool. But please do not take this swimming. The next feature is about its case and the bracelet. And what we get to see here is a design that Gerard Genta has designed and AP first introduced in 1972 with its striking octagonal bezel. The screws are made from white gold and are aligned with the dial. And what's really cool to see is all this, I want to call it reflectiveness, we get from the intricate detail of the case. The bezel itself has been polished in 3 different ways. On the top side, it shows this linear brushing. The sides are, entirely polished. And then there's a satin finish on the bottom again. On the side, you can see these sunken in pushes to help with setting the watch, but we'll get to that in a bit. The case has this satin finish on the top and its side, but also has this very beautiful edge. It's like a double-edged situation, which makes the design not only more detailed, but also, just so much nicer to look at as it tapers towards the bezel. And this edge continues into the integrated bracelet, and I love that it is such a seamless transition here. You can tell that this was very well thought out in every way up until the end. And just the fact that this edge really continues through the entire bracelet, the polished bit on the top and then the satin brush on the bottom, just makes this so sparkly, and the reflection it gives is so typical for the Royal Oak. Almost it kind of makes this bracelet come alive in a way. But of course that's not all. Even the links, the tiny ones in between, have the same finishing. It's really impressive, I have to say. The clasp here is a butterfly or a double folding clasp that hides away beneath the bracelet, only marked by the AP emblem in the middle. And since it is also made from 18 karat gold, you get that really nice and heavy click sound when opening or closing it, and it is just as well made as the rest of the watch, of course. But now let's talk about the next feature, and that is the dial and its details. AP really packed lots of things into this without making it feel too cramped or crowded, I would say. And of course, there's the Grand Tapisserie motif on the dial that Royal Oak line is so known for, that is being milled into the dial by some kind of pantograph. And on top, AP has also added a sunburst-like finish to the motif that is very subtle but still catches the light very beautifully and turns to colors from kind of like a very silvery grayish to sometimes even, I would call it, a creamy white. But yeah, no less than 7 different complications have their space on this dial. At first, we have the hour and minute, of course, with the typical Royal Oak hands. In the middle, we do not have a small second, since this Royal Oak actually does not have one. But this black hand with an arrow tip that indicates the current week of the year on the Rio, which is the second complication. At 12, we have the first of the 4 sub-dials, which houses the 3rd and 4th complication. I know that's a lot to say. On the outside ring, we can see the current month, which is being indicated by the longer of these 2 rose gold hands. And on the inside, we can see the leap year cycle, which is being indicated by the shorter hand. The 5th complication sits at 3 o'clock on the next sub-dial. Here we can see the current date, not digital, but analog, with the help of this little rose gold hand. And opposite to that, at 9 o'clock, we can see the 6th complication, which shows the current day of the week. And last but not least, we get a bit of romance on the dial with the 7th complication at 6 o'clock with the moon phase. You know, I love me some moon phase, showing the cycle of the moon. And I mean, look at those details. That's what really makes this watch so special, especially for me, because first of all, this is a photorealistic moon, so you can see all the tiny craters of the moon, but also the sky behind it is made from aventurine to resemble a starry night. And I mean, let's be real. I could look at this down for hours without getting bored, not only because of its overall beauty, but also because of the level of detail. And let me tell you, filming this watch was such a treat. Really love this. But anyways, let's continue with feature number 4, the movement. And what's nice here, of course, is the fact that we get to actually see it through the exhibition case back on the back side. And what we see here is AP's in-house caliber 5134, made from 374 individual parts. And though there are so many complications in this, it is only, and this is incredible, 4.3 millimeters thick, which is of course how AP was able to pull off the slenderness of the case in the first place, and that's just incredible, I think. This movement beats with an unusual frequency of 2.75 hertz or 19,800 half swings per hour, but that way it can manage a power reserve of 40 hours, so you can not wear this for at least a day without having to set it again when putting it back on the wrist. So this is definitely a contender for a watch winder. But I guess the best part about this movement is the overall level of finishing detail you can see on every single part. All of these bridges and parts are very carefully finished. You can see the genuine stripes or this radial polishing on the gear wheel and all these little round edges that make everything so multi-dimensional. Another highlight has to be the rotor too. I know that my husband Kai freaks out every time he gets to see it. So yeah, I mean, it's a stunner indeed. So I can relate to that. And on the topic of rotor and therefore being an automatic watch, this makes this perpetual calendar run correctly until the 28th of February in 2100, given that you keep it running without a pause, of course. All right, and now to feature number 5, the function of this watch, because what I am holding here is one of the biggest masterpieces the watch world has to offer, and that is the perpetual calendar function. So the mechanical movement in this watch is calculated to automatically differentiate between different calendar lengths and even to consider leap years, so that, for example, on the 30th of April, it automatically skips the 31st to the 1st of May, just like in a leap year from the 28th to the 29th of February, and then directly to the 1st of March, and in every other year from the 28th of February to the 1st of March. Well, that was hard to think of. And I know today we have smartphones and all that, but hey, I mean, imagine how that would be in the 60s or 70s without all that. So I think that's pretty cool. But now the question remains about how you actually set the watch to begin with, and no worries, here's a step-by-step guide to this close that secret. First, we're going to set the watch during the day to not interfere with the date mechanics. So for example, when it's 10 past 10, that's a nice time on the watch. For that, we are unscrewing the crown and putting it out into the first position. And now we wind it until we can see the date and day switch to make sure we land at 10 past 10 a.m. And now we can screw the crown back and take care of the rest. We can set the other function with those sunken in pushes on the side of the case with the help of either a golden stick you get from AP themselves, or you can also take just a toothpick, for example. You just have to make sure that you are using a material that is softer than gold, of course, so you're not scratching it up. But now let's start with the pusher at 10 to set the date. So let's say it's the 12th of February. I know the date jumps simultaneously, but we're going to ignore that for now. Next comes the pusher at 9 o'clock to set the day. So right now it is a Saturday when I'm filming this for me. And then we're going to use the pusher at 4 to set the calendar week accordingly, which would be week number 6 for me. Right, and now we can use the pusher at 2 to set the month and our current leap year cycle position. It is 2022 now. So the last leap year was in 2020, which means we are on the second out of the 4 steps within that cycle, and the month is February. And lastly, we can set the moon phase, and for that you can also look up moon cycle calendars online and then set your moon phase accordingly to fit the rest. Okie dokie, now that we got all that covered, we are good to go from now on. This watch technically will display the correct time and date up until 2100. Nice. And now you know the 5 most important features of the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Perpetual calendar. You also know how to exactly set this watch and how to handle it, so you are best prepared should you ever consider going for one. You're welcome. And again, a big thank you to Max from Rothfuss for letting me borrow this watch. Thank you so much. Make sure to check out his website that I have linked for you in the description box down below. And that is all I have for you today. Let me know in the comments down below how you like a perpetual calendar, and make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you have enjoyed watching this. And if you would like to see more videos like this, I recommend subscribing to my channel, and then I will see you in my next video. Bye!